In this video, I want to talk about what is included in my day rate and how I work out how many images a client can have. Now, I put day rates into 3 categories, and I'm going to use the food photographer as an example, but it works in any genre of photography. There's the people who photograph the restaurants, they're at the bottom. There's the people who shoot the mid-level campaigns, they're in the middle, and there's the people who shoot the high-end campaigns, they're at the top. And the way that we price all of these different things is very different, and what we include in our day rate is very different. Let's start at the very top. When I'm shooting, which is what I do at the moment, a very high-end commercial job, for my day rate, you get me, probably my cat Moggy, and I might buy everyone lunch if it's a nice day. That is it. You don't get my cameras, my lights, my studio, my editing time. You don't get anything apart from me because you're paying for me to be there. The camera I have is irrelevant. You hand me any camera. The rental house will provide the cameras, the studio, whatever it may be. It's all billed as an item. Then I'll shoot the images, then they'll pay for the retouching, then they'll pay for the usage. It's all separate line items. So in my day rate, you get me from 9 to 5. Now, granted, I've never worked 9 to 5. I'm in here at 7, I leave here at 8. But that's generally what you get. Now, the level below, when you're shooting with your local ad agencies, your smaller ad agencies, for that price, you're expected to have the kit and perhaps even the studio. If you own your own, you wouldn't build it out as an item. But if you're renting one, you'd probably build the rental out. You'd also be expected to do the color grading, and then retouching would depend on the complexity of it. If it's an incredibly complex composite, if it's a complex sort of edit, you'd charge a day rate for that, maybe £300, £400, whatever it may be, somewhere around there for editing time. But otherwise, it's all done in-house. Now, sometimes with these clients, you give the raw files to them because they have an in-house person to do that, because they might be working with a brand with multiple photographers and they need to get that continuity of the retouching. We're not creative people, we're technicians at the end of the day. So that sometimes happens. I've got a whole video on giving away your raw files, which will be somewhere floating around, or maybe this has come out first because I batch film, so who knows? Now, within that, you're going to have to pay for your assistant and your day rate. You're going to have to get the lunch in, probably. Sometimes clients are nice and they buy you lunch, but you need to supply the coffee, cakes, croissants, lunch, and all that sort of stuff. Now, at the cafe level, when you're shooting your local restaurants, your local cafes, you're expected to have all the kit and turn up with it. There's no studio involved. You might even have to bring the props, which means buying them, leaving the stickers on them, and returning them afterwards, which is always a fun game to play. Now, within your day rate, which is probably coming in at around £350 to £500, you're expected to shoot for the day, edit the images, and return them. It is not a financially viable business. I'm going to do a whole video on restaurant photography, but it is something you need to do to move on to the next stage. Much like working with local models as a fashion photographer and maybe like independent brands who are very small and only local, it's a stepping stone to the next thing. It's not where you're going to end up. It's not a career to be had, but you need to do that, cut your teeth and sort of work your way along. So I'm hoping this sort of answers that question as, what is in the day rate? What do they get? There's no set number of images. There's no set number of edits because an image is not the same as the next image. Some images we shot have taken 4 days, maybe 2 days in retouching. Other times we've shot 10 images in a day and had them delivered at the end of the shoot. So it's based on how long will it take. And a lot of this just comes down to experience. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to tell somebody, it's a half day's work. And then you're going to be spending 4 days in post fixing it because you didn't realize how complex it was. It's fine. It happens. You eat it up. You swallow the cost. You do the work. Other times you're telling it will take 4 days and you're thinking on day 2, we need to slow down because we have misjudged this something chronic. And that's fine as well. It happens. Sometimes you have to give them a refund, give them some of the money back, whatever it may be. But it's just one of those things, and experience is key. And if you're worried about it now, that you just need to let that go, because until you've been doing it for a decade, when a brief comes into me, I go, I know exactly how long that's going to take. This is what it is. And if they come back with some counter arguments, I just go, I can't do it that fast. Never mind. See you later. Or sometimes they might be saying something like, we've got 8 shots today. I'm like, okay, cool. It's going to be 4 shots today, 2 days work. And they're like, we need to do it in 1 day. Now, sometimes they need to do it in 1 day because of time restrictions they have. And I'm like, that's fine. At 5 o'clock, every time we move into the next hour, it's double an hourly rate of something high. So it's like £400 an hour for overtime because you're tired, you're shattered, and they're trying to perhaps take a liberty, or it's important to them and everyone's got to work harder. And this is not for every hour completed. This is every time you cross into an hour. So at 61 minutes, you charge them that again. And that's not just for you either. That's the digital tech, assistants, everyone involved. Now, they'll often either go, we'll do it in 2 days to save money, and we can, we'll just save the time, or we need to do it this way, let's go for it. Or I know someone who can do it faster, in which case I go, no worries, you go for them. If you need any help, let me know. I always try and be helpful and polite. Not everyone wants to spend the money I charge. Sometimes I'm too cheap, sometimes I'm too expensive. It's just the way of the world. We're all going to be in these positions. I'm sure there's going to be additional questions on the end of this, so please pop them in the comments below. I'm either going to do another video like this if I think it's a question which a lot of people will benefit from, or I'll reply directly below. See you later. Bye-bye.